I was had Yashima Rico from StreetScores, and this is somewhat another one of those Rico reports because we have three main topics to really discuss and one like small extra one at the end. But we're here to talk about how Micah Parsons really seems like he wants to play for the Washington Commanders, and we're going to tie in how that even involves Frankie Luvu making the top 100 and all of that you'll see, man, and how Jerry Jones is out here publicly dissing Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott. We're going to get into all of that. Also, we have a Terry update, some bad news, and some good news. Can't wait to dive into that. And then also, we have an official Von Miller has signed with the Washington Commanders announcement, but also on top of that, Von Miller explained why he chose number 24. And then again, we have a little bit more stuff I want to show y'all at the end of the video. And then also, I have a trivia question for you. What 6'4", 194-pound Pro Bowl wide receiver for Washington was nicknamed Bones? I'm gonna give you the answer to that at the end of the video, but before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video, for watching the videos all the way through, leaving likes, comments, all of that, man. Really appreciate that love from y'all, man. So make sure y'all stay tuned for more content. And of course, again, I'm gonna have y'all covered on everything training camp, every practice, any clips they show, any clips that they upload from anybody. I will have that in one video for y'all to see. We're gonna break down everything. We're gonna go position group by position group, everything that happened, good, bad, ugly, whatever. So make sure y'all stay tuned. It's every position group. I'm talking about even special teams as well. So without further ado, let's go dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. I mean, it's crazy because the veterans report today. Like right now as I'm recording this is 4:18 in the morning of Tuesday, July 22nd. The veterans are reporting today. And, you know, hopefully very soon, at some point today, Terry McLaurin will sign his long-term extension because practice officially starts, I believe, tomorrow the 23rd. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because football is back. We are back in football. But sadly, the Dallas Cowboys have a lot. Well, actually, it's a great thing for us. Sadly, for Cowboys fans, their owner is getting in the way once again. So out of nowhere, it wasn't even like somebody necessarily baited Jerry Jones into saying this, but Jerry Jones randomly took shots at Micah Parsons, saying that even if they sign him, it doesn't really mean that they'll have him because he was hurt for 6 games last year anyway. And then it even crazier, if you fact check it, he only missed 4. And then he also went on to say that they made Dak Prescott the richest player in the world and he missed 2/3 of the year. So he just went out of his way to just disrespect everybody, man. And so actually, here's the 28-second clip right here.
Just because we sign him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've signed, I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
Yes, Jerry Jones, keep causing mayhem and chaos for your own team, man. We don't want any unity amongst the Cowboys, their players, and their fan base. This is beautiful. Keep this up. You're doing a good job, man. Check is in the mail, Jerry Jones, even though you don't need it, man. You're the last one that needs it. But Mina Khan's brought up a great point. She said anytime you can delay signing your best players while the price goes up and antagonize them in the process, you got to do it, right? I mean, this is crazy. This man, Jerry Jones, if you speak to any Cowboys fan, they absolutely hate him. Now, of course, he's not as bad as Dan Snyder, but he's really bad. And I know some Cowboys fans that are like, man, I'm still a fan, but like I can't take our game seriously. I can't really even support this team the way I used to until Jerry Jones finally sells this team. But then they're also like, man, I mean, it's just going to end up going to his son, and he may be just as bad. So a lot of Cowboys fans are not very optimistic about their future. Can't relate. But either way, J.J. Watt even commented on the situation, and it was like the same similar sarcasm that Mina Khan used. He said, anytime you can publicly take a dig at your star quarterback and your star pass rusher simultaneously right before the season begins, you got to take it. Nothing makes guys want to fight for you more than hearing how upset you are that they got hurt while fighting for you. And I think that's a perfect way to describe it. It's a sarcastic way, but it is crazy that, like, these guys are getting hurt from putting their bodies on the line to make you money. And then you complain about them being hurt. I mean, it's just crazy, man. So shouts out to Jerry Jones for that. But most notably, as you can see, if you look at the very top right there with the JJ Watt tweet, you see he reposted it, Micah Parsons. And I mean, of course, he could have just went in there and liked it, or he could have just went in there and read it, agreed with it, and not interacted with it. The fact that he reposted, he wanted everybody to see that I don't like this Jerry Jones guy. And now, is it enough to necessarily make him want to leave the Cowboys? Who knows? Money talks and things like that. But, and again, we're going to come back to Micah Parsons real soon, because we need to take a Frankie Luvu detour real quick, because it all ties into Micah Parsons potentially wanting to play with the Commanders at some point. Because shouts out to the 33rd team. Once the NFL announced that Frankie Luvu is at 70 at the top 100 players in the NFL, according to NFL films and all that type of stuff, 33rd team retweeted it by pointing out every player with 20 plus sacks and 200 plus tackles in the last 3 seasons. It's literally just Max Crosby, DeForest Buckner, and Frankie Luvu. That is it. Those are the only 3 players in the entire NFL the last 3 seasons, again, to have 20 plus sacks and 200 plus tackles combined. And then also look at this stat right here. And this one was uploaded. This one was tweeted out by NFLplus.com. They said the only player to record over 200 snaps rushing the passer 213, in run defense 450, and in coverage 342 in 2024. He also generated the 4th most pressures among off-ball linebackers with 29, and his 27.6 pressure to sack conversion rate was the 2nd highest in the NFL with a minimum of 25 pressures. I mean, when you're looking at stats like that, it's like, man, maybe he deserves to be higher than 70. Remember, according to scouts, executives, and coaches, that list of like the top 10 players of each position, Frankie Luvu came in at 5, just like Jaden Daniels came in at 5. But, I mean, Frankie Luvu, a dog. Now, of course, with this top 100 list, you also have commentary from the players as they're showing the players' highlights and everything like that. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out, because there's a lot of different players talking about, and it's usually a player that's not on the same team as them. So it's kind of nice to hear other players show respect to Commanders players. Like, man, that guy's a dog, boy. That boy's a demon. You know what I'm saying? You know that little meme of the different clips they put together when they're describing Von Miller, like, yeah, he was different, Vlad. Like, it kind of sounds like that when they're talking about Frankie Luvu. Sounds sort of like the boogeyman a little bit, but either way, when Micah Parsons talked about it, he, for like, I guess at this point, like the 100th time, mentioned that he basically misses playing for Dan Quinn while talking about Frankie Luvu making the top 100. He said, quote, "That Dan Quinn system, I miss them days being off the ball and you get them one-on-ones on the back," unquote. I mean, he just went on a whole spiel. And so I thought that was crazy in itself. I mean, he took a whole Frankie Luvu moment and turned it into, I miss playing for Dan Quinn. And remember, back on January 11th of 2024, before last season even started, towards the end of the 2023 season technically, before we even hired Dan Quinn, Micah Parsons had that one quote that said, quote, "Dan's my guy, and if he does leave me," to basically leave and take a head coaching job, leave the Cowboys as defensive coordinator, "it's always love. He might take me with him. You never know," unquote. And that was the first of it. It kept going. Shouts out to Brian Manning of Commanders Wire. He wrote an article back on December 26th of 2024, so late last year, and he did a full rundown of the multiple times that Micah Parsons has basically mentioned Dan Quinn. He said Dallas Cowboys superstar Micah Parsons is a huge fan of Commanders coach Dan Quinn. I mean, he literally talks about him any chance that he gets. Parsons expressed his sadness when the Commanders hired Dan Quinn away from the Cowboys in the offseason. So it was before Dan Quinn even left. He was like, hey, he may take me with him. And then as soon as he got hired as our head coach, Micah Parsons had other things to say about him and was like, hey, man, the Commanders got them a good one type of stuff. So the Commanders hired Quinn away from the Cowboys in the offseason, but made it clear, Micah Parsons, that is, that he will always root for his former coach. In the first 3 seasons of his NFL career, with Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator, Parsons recorded 40.5 sacks, 51 tackles for losses, and 7 forced fumbles. Their bond even goes beyond the field, though, as Parsons considers Quinn a role model even off the field. The Commanders and Cowboys first met this past season in week 12 in a wild game where Parsons Cowboys did upset Washington. They had no business winning that game, but hey man, shouts out to our kicker. I can't even remember his name anymore. I used to have that whole nickname for him and everything. I already blocked that trauma out of my brain, but missing the extra point, we're not even going to dive into that right now. But 2 weeks later, after Dallas had won 2 consecutive games, it lost a heartbreaker to the Cincinnati Bengals, falling to 5-8 and virtually ending any playoff hopes. An upset Parsons left the field as time ran off the clock instead of greeting the Cincinnati players, as is customary across the NFL. Like, he was super upset, like sick of it. It looked like he didn't even want to play for the Cowboys another game. Of course, Parsons was criticized, but explained that it was due to his competitive spirit. On his episode of his podcast, The Edge, Parsons said that he even received a call from Dan Quinn, who was checking on him after such a tough loss. He said, quote, talking to Dan, Dan's our guy. Dan's like an uncle to me. And he saw my comments about the podcast, and Parsons told his other teammate, Trevon Diggs, quote, he called after the Bengals loss, actually just checking on me. My mental space, just making sure I was okay, unquote. And then the talk turned into Quinn's quarterback, rookie Jaden Daniels. He said, quote, I saw what your quarterback is capable of. I watched him in that Bears game. I watched him against us. His composure when it matters the most, he has it. I see it. Like, he's fearless. He doesn't shy away from the moment. And that was Diggs talking about Jaden Daniels. And then Diggs also said, quote, he knows he's nice. He the one. You need that confidence, especially in the NFL. If you know that you're nice, know that you're the one, can't nobody stop you from doing anything that you want to do. You're going to have your way, unquote. And that set off a whole spiral of any chance that Micah Parsons and even Trevon Diggs, any chance that they could hype up Jaden Daniels and compliment him and be very praiseworthy towards him, they did that as well. Media days of centered around the Super Bowl week, everything. Micah Parsons was constantly hanging around Jaden Daniels, was very complimentary of him there. So he loves our head coach and he loves our quarterback. There's a chance, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it's likely, but it's not impossible, you know what I'm saying? Because the Dallas Cowboys are playing around with them right now. And granted, I don't necessarily think we have the cap space to even pay him, even if we were to somehow trade for him, even if he were to demand a trade or anything like that. But you just never know, because he's asking for big money. I mean, you saw, I think it was Max Crosby that got paid first. Then it was Myles Garrett and came in with a bigger deal. Then it was TJ Watt that came in for a bigger deal than that. So now Dallas Cowboys playing around. Now you got to pay Micah Parsons way more money than you would have had to pay him if you would have just paid him just 3-4 months ago. If you would have just got it out the way, you wouldn't even been in this even worse situation than you are right now. They did the same thing with Dak Prescott. Ended up having to pay him ridiculous money because they waited. Doing the same thing with Micah Parsons. So I don't know if Micah Parsons is going to necessarily end up playing for the Commanders at some point, but I'm not very confident that he'll end up staying with the Cowboys, but we'll see. And even just going back to the clip of Micah Parsons talking about Frankie Luvu being in the top 100 and why, I don't feel like I love and miss playing in that system. It's a good compliment for the player that you're supposed to be complimented. You know what I'm saying? It makes it sound more like it's a system thing than a player himself thing. I mean, maybe I'm overthinking a little bit. And then again, this was Luvu's first time being named an All-Pro in his NFL career, I believe. So there is something to that system. You saw Dante Fowler get 10.5 sacks in that system. But I still feel like it's weird to spend that much time complimenting Dan Quinn during Frankie Luvu's top 100 video and a whole breakdown instead of Frankie Luvu himself. You know what I'm saying? So again, it just shows how much that boy Micah Parsons really loves Dan Quinn. And even beyond that, when talking with Kevin Durant, and again, Micah Parsons going through contract disputes right now. Kevin Durant suggested that, hey, you can become a Commander in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Pull up. Parsons replied, quote, I only rock with Dan Quinn, unquote. And Durant basically said right back, exactly. That's all you need to rock with, unquote, which is a good point. So no matter what, even when he's in a disagreement with Commanders fans, he's like, hey, but y'all got Dan Quinn. That's my boy right there. So who knows? Something to revisit later on down the line. It would never happen this season. I don't think it's very likely to happen at all at any point, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, moving on to the next part of this video, we have some Terry McLaurin updates from Henry C. McKenna, and they spoke with a source close to Terry McLaurin, and I'm not exactly sure how trustworthy this is, but of course, this went around yesterday as of Monday, July 21st, and it was a lot going on. Everybody was like, whoa, what's going on with this update? But again, I don't know how trustworthy it is, but here you go. He broke down how the Commander Star is handling ongoing contract negotiations and more. So, So he talked about how Terry McLaurin will, quote, explore every option, unquote, that ranges from a holdout to a hold-in and even a trade request in order to secure an extension. So right now to him, it sounds like, according to this Henry person, Terry McLaurin getting the money that he feels like he deserves is the number one priority, and everything comes after that. If he has to hold out, if he has to come to practice to avoid the fines and just not practice, be there but not practice to avoid the fines, hold in, or if he has to just request a trade to go to a different team, whatever it takes, it sounds like he wants that money that he's asking for. He's not budging, apparently. We'll see who budgets first, who, if they find a mutual, middle, you know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know what's going on. It's chaotic right now, but that's the bad news. That doesn't sound good. Of course, all eyes will be on Terry McLaurin when Washington Veterans report on Tuesday for the start of camp, particularly after he skipped mandatory minicamp this season. If necessary, McLaurin reportedly will explore every option, including a holdout, a hold-in, and a trade request. He said, quote, everything will be on the table, unquote, the source told me, but McLaurin is taking things day by day in hopes of hearing more from the Commanders, who have not talked to him about his contract in weeks. And again, this report came out yesterday, July 21st, on Monday. Does that mean as of yesterday, the Commanders and Terry McLaurin still have not had any talks about a contract? I really hope that's not the case. Even after he spoke out about his dissatisfaction with the situation. Remember, he said, quote, I've been frustrated and I'm not going to lie. Everything has transpired to this point and has been pretty disappointing and frustrated, unquote. Remember, he said that in his Eastern Motors interview. But now, granted, the good news part of this report is that apparently, McLaurin, of course, an all-pro receiver and a team captain, is most interested in trying to bring a deal together and not breaking the team apart, according to a source close to McLaurin. So the same source told him that he's willing to do whatever it takes to get a contract done, even if that means requesting a trade. That's the bad news for Commanders fans. But the good news is his ultimate goal is to try to bring a deal together and not break the team apart. So it sounds like he may even want to, the goal is to be there for day one of training camp. We'll see if they get it done. But that's it. That's really all of the update I got for y'all. I'm not even about to sit here and drag it any longer. We're going to move on to the next part of this video. As you can see on the screen, man, that boy Von Miller is officially a Washington Commander. The official Washington Commanders Twitter account uploaded this with the official announcement. There you go. Von Miller in a Commanders jersey. He's ready to go. They even tweeted another proven leader in the linebacker room. And first of all, I want to point out the fact that they said linebacker specifically. You see at the top right, it says outside linebacker, not defensive lineman, not defensive end, not even necessarily edge rusher, outside linebacker. But again, like I've said before in another video, being a linebacker would allow him to wear that number 24 jersey that apparently he wants to wear with the whole photo that he uploaded when he announced that he was signing with the Commanders. Defensive linemen can't wear skill position player numbers, but linebackers can. Plus, also on top of that, he's directly replacing Dante Fowler, who was an outside linebacker specifically for his last season as well. So it just all makes too much sense. He is an outside linebacker, somewhat like in between like Frankie Luvu and like a Dorrance Armstrong, but closer to Frankie Luvu, I guess you could say. Even though he's primarily going to rush after the quarterback, I don't really want Von Miller in coverage. But I think even Frankie Luvu is going to start to play a little bit more edge rusher and rushing the passer from the outside, unlike what he has done really so far in his career. Typically, when he rushes the passer, it's through the A gap or B gap. It's on delayed blitzes where offensive linemen aren't even necessarily expecting them. But if he starts to rush the passer from the outside, that's going to take a whole new level of nuance and a bag of tricks and hand moves and counters and stuff that he has. I'm not going to say he doesn't have it in his bag. We just haven't necessarily seen it in his bag from blitzing up the middle like he's done. But we'll see, though. I'm really excited about Frankie Luvu becoming more of a pass rusher and Von Miller being a pure pass rushing outside linebacker for us. Again, we don't necessarily want to see him in coverage. But now also Nicky Javala announced that Von Miller will wear number 24 officially in Washington. Now granted, I already told y'all we had Fintrell Cypress, who's an undrafted free agent corner that had number 24 on the defensive side of the ball so far. And then you had Casimir Allen, who was an undrafted free agent 3 years ago now. They transitioned from wide receiver now to officially like a running back. He has number 24 in offense. But now Von Miller's coming in, crashing in on their parties. They're going to have to get new numbers because Von Miller's coming to basically debo that number 24 from him. And it is noteworthy that he wore number 58 in Denver and wore number 40 for the rest of his career with the other couple of teams he was on, the Rams and the Bills. But then he told reporters that he chose number 24 because it had multiple meanings for him. Champ Bailey wore number 24. Kobe Bryant also wore number 24, and he's a big Kobe Bryant fan. And Miller wore 24 once in college in honor of Corey Boyner. The exact quote from Von Miller himself: "When I came here, 58 and 40 were gone, and those are the only two numbers that I had in the NFL. Oh, I wore 5, but that was my very first number, but obviously 5 is already taken to Jaden Daniels." Then he also said, "I respect Champ Bailey a lot. Played with Champ Bailey for 3 years. He's one of my big brothers, and he played here and wore number 24 when he was here. So it was kind of like it spoke to me in so many different ways, so I decided to go with number 24. Shouts out to Von Miller. I think it's going to be a little weird to see at first, like beginning of training camp and stuff like that, but eventually we'll get used to it. And hey, when number 24 is out there going after the quarterback, getting double-digit sacks for us this year and helping us win a Super Bowl, I'm not going to complain about him wearing number 24. And I'm already starting to get used to it, the thought of it already looking into the future of Von Miller getting 2 sacks and a forced fumble and recovery in the Super Bowl, and we end up winning because of it. So let's do it, man. And then also, you have this clip of Von Miller right here, says he's excited and ready to play for the Commanders this season.
DC was good. Commanders family was good, man. We're here, man. Let's take advantage of it, one play at a time. I'm ready to go.
And I hope y'all, and first of all, this was him pulling up to an interview with Brian Colbert Jr. on the official Washington Commanders YouTube channel, so make sure you go check that out. They uploaded that on their own Twitter and everything. So if you want to hear Von Miller talk about basically why he signed with the Commanders, why he's excited to play for the Commanders this year and everything, go check that out. But also, Brian Colbert brought up a good point. In the background of this clip that you're seeing, they have a custom-made background just for Von Miller. Like, they made sure before they even got the interview set up, they had Von Miller in a whole Commanders thing. I mean, like, that is nice behind him, man. So shouts out to the Commanders for doing that right and going the extra effort rather than just having a green screen behind them or just some typical Washington Commanders background. They make sure they personally had it set up for Von Miller to be behind himself while he's interviewing with the Commanders for the first time. And then now moving on to the last couple of things. Shouts out to Nick Javala for this. You know, some Commanders reporters have already been going up to the practices, and Nick Javala pointed out, as you can see on the screen, that the Commanders have a new bubble in Ashburn. It looks very clean. It's very white. So now it looks a little different. And I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but it looks maybe a little bit bigger, maybe because it's going to be so hot in the summer. Maybe we're going to be in the bubble more than people think. You know what I'm saying? Maybe just it's not even necessarily due to like inclement weather like rain while you would typically go in the bubble. Maybe just because maybe some days it's going to be way too hot. But then again, you got to condition yourself to get used to the heat because we're going to be playing in some heat in August and September. So we'll see. And then also shouts out to David Harrison. As you can see in these pictures, you have Frankie Luvu welcoming everybody to training camp 2025, and the grass looks really good and freshly maintained and everything like that. So shouts out to David Harrison for uploading these 2 pictures right here. I'm really excited, man. Like I said, football is back. Training camp, y'all. And y'all know once training camp hits, next thing you know, it'll be preseason. Next thing you know, it'll be regular season. And for us, I can't speak for a lot of teams out there, it'll be playoffs. And then who knows, man, shortly after that, maybe we'll be talking Super Bowl. But this is the beginning of a very fun, long ride of football, man. And I'm so excited. Even as much as I love draft content, y'all know I'm a GM more than anything else. I'm a GM more than I'm a coach, more than I'm a player. I love team building. So draft, free agency, that's all of my favorite stuff. But I am sick to my stomach when we get to like the middle and end of February, and I just have to accept, man, there's not going to be any real football until July. So enjoy the fact, soak up the fact, really relish the fact that like this is the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? And shouts out to the NFL teams that have already started their training camps. We start a little bit later than other teams, but I don't care. Remember, we have 2 joint practices to look forward to. I'm really excited about that. We have the Patriots and the Ravens to look forward to as far as joint practices. This is going to be a really fun ride. And the difference between last season and this season is that last season, it kind of caught us all off guard. We were surprised by how good we are. This season has expectations loaded into it. You know, you have people talking about Jaden Daniels being an MVP candidate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. You have Von Miller, who we just talked about, joining the Commanders to ring chase. He left the Bills to join the Commanders in hopes of winning a Super Bowl. That's the type of team we're talking about going into this season. This is by far the most optimistic I've ever been going into a Commanders season in at least my lifetime. I wasn't alive for the Super Bowl times. I was never alive to see any real success from the Washington Redskins football team, Commanders, whatever time period it was. I didn't get to experience none of that. This is by far not even close to the most optimistic I've been been going into a Commander season. So buckle up, y'all. It's going to be a fun ride. And again, I really want to like emphasize this is the very beginning of it. So make sure you really cherish these times. I know it's not necessarily football on Sundays yet, but we're going to get to February. We're going to get to March. It's going to be May. We're going to be like, man, I can't wait for it to be July, late July. This is that time. Enjoy every second of it, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. If you made it this far in the video, salute to you. Really appreciate you. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. But before you go, the answer to the trivia question, if you knew this one already, shouts out to you. This is way before my time, but the answer is Hugh Taylor, man. So shouts out to you if you already knew that without having to look it up, without me having to tell you. That's real ball knowledge right there, especially real Redskins history right there. So shouts out to you. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Of course, the whole Micah Parsons situation. Do you think there's even a slither of a chance? Do you think there's anything more than a 0% chance that Micah Parsons may end up playing for the Burgundy and Gold within the next 2 to 5 years or something? Let me know how you feel about the whole Terry McLaurin update. Are you optimistic that they may get something done at some point today so that Terry McLaurin doesn't have to miss a single practice? Let me know how you feel about Von Miller being an outside linebacker and why he chose the number 24. Let me know how excited you are about football being back as well. That whole spill I went on for like the last 5 minutes of the video. Let me know all of that in the comment section. I'm gonna try my best to read and reply to as many comments as possible. I've just been super busy, but I'm trying to at least get y'all a video a day, so stay tuned. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.